が消えかかるそれがオレンジャー熱い血流れる鋼のマシン
Welcome to the Super Sentai Brothers. This is episode 33 of For Your Eyes Ohranger, the internet's best and only podcast dedicated to Chouriki Sentai Ohranger. Every week we watch an episode of that show. And then after we've watched that episode of that show, we share our thoughts with you, the listeners. My name is Matt J. With me as always is my co-host and brother Dave. Dave, how you doing today?
I'm doing well. I'm a little confused why you changed up our script there.
Dave, I'm just trying to... I've said it before, I will say it again, I'm trying to keep it fresh. Also, my computer screen is very small and a little far away from me, and I might need new glasses.
I just feel like you ought to have it memorized at this point.
I'm good. I do have it memorized. I just wanted to make it a little loose.
Anyways, no, I'm doing well. Summer's coming to an end, Matt, and you know, because I cut off the last of my mohawk.
You evened it out.
Now I'm just, yeah. So what happens is, like, at first you just have a mohawk and the sides of your head are shaved, right? And then for a little while, you're letting the sides grow in and you're just sort of taking the top off of the mohawk, right? So you're letting the bottom catch up, and then eventually the bottom gets long enough, and then you just go top down. And so now I just have kind of a shortish buzz cut. I normally keep my hair a little bit longer than this, but, you know.
But
summer's coming to an end, Matt.
The changing of the seasons.
You can tell by this one dude's hair.
The leaves start to change, the hair evens out.
Yeah, so that's it. I'm getting ready to go back to school.
Nice. Dave.
In a way, yeah.
Hey. you're diving back in. And you know what? We're also diving back in today. We're diving into episode 33 of Chouriki Sentai Ohranger. Dave, 33, that's how old I am today. This week.
I know.
While we're recording this episode. But next week, when we record the episode 34, that will be my age.
Yeah, well, your birthday is this week. You know, Matt, 34 is a fun age. I enjoyed 34. I look back on it fondly. Let me say, I am much more excited for next year's your birthday. That was a bad way to say that. I'm excited for when you turn 35.
Oh, good, because we're going to finally open that bottle of wine.
We're going to finally open this bottle of wine. When Matt turned 30, this might be on the podcast if you go back far enough. When Matt turned 30, I got him a very nice bottle of wine, and the guy at the store said, listen, this is a very nice bottle of wine, but if you want it to be really good, you need to put it on a shelf for like 5 years. And so we have done that.
Yeah,
and
it has
so
been sitting in your house.
Yeah. It has.
It has moved house with you.
It has, because you never take it with you, which is a little bit weird. And now at this point, I feel like it would be weird if you did take it.
Yeah, I want to keep it away from me. Because if I have it in my apartment, eventually I might open it up. But if it's at your house, it's like it's separated, you know? Like it's away from me.
Yeah,
and I'll
no,
keep
it is. The only thing I don't love about that is that, like, now I'm responsible for this very, very expensive bottle of wine that is yours. Yeah, so like at this point, I don't know how much it would cost, but it was like fairly expensive when I bought it, and that was a couple of years ago. So anyways, I am very excited. This will hands down be the most expensive wine I've ever drank. I'm not like a wine guy. I feel like this wine will actually, like by the time we drink it, it will be too good for me. Like I won't realize what I'm drinking, if that makes sense.
Or maybe, Dave, maybe this is the secret formula that will turn you into a wine guy.
No, I mean, like I like wine. I will drink wine, don't get me wrong. But I guess I never drink, like, here's the thing. I'm always afraid to buy expensive wine because, like, I don't think I will get it. And then I'll just be like, well, I just spent, like, $30 on a glass of wine or something, and I couldn't tell the difference, and now I'm out $30. But now this has already spent money, so maybe this will be it. This will turn me into, now I'll finally understand why people buy expensive wine.
Hopefully we will check back on this
next year.
In 1 year.
Yeah, a year from now.
Near the end of Car Ranger, you will find this out. Oh, we're doing Car Ranger next year, guys. We've probably already announced that.
Yeah, I'm sure we mentioned
that.
I
mean, it is the next series.
It's the next one, so.
I was going to start talking about Car Ranger, Dave, but we've got a whole year to do that. But we've got to talk about Ohranger first. But before we even get to Ohranger, we've got a whole order of operations here, Dave. Before we talk about Ohranger today, as always, of course, shining in the heavens, there are 5 stars. What, Dave, is our first star of the week?
So our first star of the week, Matt, is like a low-key apology because I don't really have any stars this week. Here's the deal.
Okay.
Yeah, it's fun and exciting, right? No, this is just like, here's some insight into my universe. The babies have been they've been having very rough bedtimes recently, which is like, they are right at the right age for it. Like, it's a known thing, like babies hit around this age and like all of a sudden they have really terrible bedtimes for like 4 to 6 weeks or something. But what that does mean is that the scant hour and a half, 2 hours I usually have in the evening to like, I don't know, watch some TV or a movie or like read a book or anything has been basically absorbed. So like I just have like all we've been doing is like we watch the babies. And then during nap time, we like try to get some stuff done around the house. And then either Beth takes the babies or I do. And the other one like tries to get something done around the house or naps or something. And then we try to put them to bed and then we fail. And then we keep trying to put them to bed. And eventually they go to bed and then I'm exhausted and then I go to bed. And that's basically my universe right now. So like, I've been like, I don't know. I reread a Terry Pratchett book in like fits and starts while in the bathroom because it's like the only place that I have any peace.
Sure.
And that was great because Terry Pratchett's great. But aside from that, like I've got basically nothing. So I hope
fine.
you did some fun and cool stuff this week.
Sure.
What, Matt, is our... Listen, I love these babies. They're wonderful, and I'm glad that they are here. And that is a mantra that I repeat to myself between like 1 and 2 in the morning, just reminding myself that it's true. Anyways, Matt, what is our... But it is true. Don't get... like it is true, definitely. It's just... There are hours that like you need to remind yourself that it's true. Anyways, Matt, what is our second star of the week?
Dave's second star of the week is I shaved my beard off.
Yeah.
It has
so have you started growing it back yet?
Oh, yeah. Oh,
okay,
I mean,
good.
Listen, the nice thing about shaving your beard off is that if you really think about it, the moment after you stop shaving your beard, you have already started regrowing your beard.
Oh. That's a very philosophical way to look at that thing.
And that is the mantra that I've been repeating to myself for the last week while my face has looked unrecognizable.
It is super weird. Like, you are my brother, and I know you very well, and I look at your face pretty frequently.
Sure. For the first 2/3 of my life, I didn't have a beard. It's just for the last 10 or 11 years. I mean, listeners, I have not shaved the last time I shaved my beard was October of 2007 when I was a groomsman in our friend Eric's wedding, because the beard was pretty new to me at that point, and I felt like, well, this is a formal event, and formal events don't want, like, me having a beard, and so I shaved it off, and then that was the last time I ever shaved it, because at the time, I was working opening shifts at Starbucks, and so I had to wake up at 4 in the morning, and I did not trust myself with a razor at 4 in the morning, and then it just kind of rolled from there, and I have not shaved in like 10 and a half years.
Yeah, no, it is, like I said, because it's weird. Like, I know what you look like without a beard, but I'm very unaccustomed to seeing it. And also, like, the last time I saw you without a beard, you were 10 years younger?
Yeah.
So,
listen.
it's like a very strange time warp. Because, like, okay, listen, if you have a beard, like, it covers part of your face, right?
Yeah.
And so you don't, like, there are things about your face that, like, you don't necessarily notice because they're covered in beard. And so when you shaved, it was very strange because, like, my mental reference point of view without a beard is, like, you in your early 20s. And now you're in your early 30s. And it was like you just snapped back very quickly. Like, you just aged 10 years, like, basically overnight. in a strange sort of way.
Yeah, it's a real weird thing because you've seen some pictures of it, but you have not had to see it in the mirror every time you walk past like a reflective surface.
Yeah.
And like, listen, it's been almost a week now, and like, it's not that I forget that I've shaved. I know that I've shaved because the breeze is hitting my face in a very weird way. And when I shower in the morning, the water doesn't get trapped in it. And that whole experience, like, you forget how different that experience is, but it's very different.
Yeah, well, okay, this is one nice thing about you having shaved your beard, is that, because I also haven't shaved in 8 years or something like that. That sounds about right. One of the nice things about you having shaved your beard is that everyone's, like, I think everybody who has a beard periodically thinks to themselves, like, I just shave this off. See what's going on underneath here.
The thoughts do creep in.
So what's really nice is that since you've done it, it's really helped me banish those thoughts.
Yeah, you look at that, you're like, oh no, I do not.
Yeah,
want
like, oh no,
I
should definitely, nope, I'm going to go ahead and leave that beard right where it is. There's another weird thing, is that, or let it cling to me, I don't know. I have noticed that when you shaved, the resemblance between you and our sister, I think that I had never sort of noticed before.
Yeah, I did notice that the last time I shaved. Here's the other thing I noticed is that as the beard is growing back in, of course, there's a stubble period.
Yeah. It's supposed to be really itchy. Isn't that like a thing, right?
I mean, it hasn't been yet. I mean, I did not like do like a super close, like against the grain shave or anything. So it hasn't had to grow back through that. The thing that I've noticed is, okay, if you've got stubble, and every guy who's ever grown out a bit of stubble has always had this thought, you think, man, what if I look super cool and rugged with this stubble? Like, what if this is a great look for me? Like, I grow a little bit of stubble, and it's like, oh, man, look at that cool guy. I bet he's got a motorcycle.
Man, I know you real well. I'm going to go, like, I feel like I can disabuse you of that idea right now.
Okay, here's the thing. The other option that you've got is sweaty Richard Nixon stubble. And unfortunately,
Matt, I love you. I know the phrase is like I love you like a brother. You are in fact my brother. I feel like you're gonna trend Nixon on that one.
Oh boy, Dave, I got the Nixons bad. It's not as bad now that I've had a couple of days with it, and now I've been able to shave my neck, and like you can see a difference between my face and my neck.
Oh, so okay, so now you just have a short beard. Now you're good.
Yeah, now I have like an embarrassingly short beard, but like there is something there. But for like not day 1, but days like 3 and 4 was just like that was like. You gotta wonder if part of him going south was just trying to find something to distract people from that terrible stubble. Because I was having some real sneaky thoughts to get around showing my face to people for a couple of days.
Well, Matt, okay, so Matt, we have spent just an astonishing amount of time talking about your facial hair.
Okay.
What is our third star of the week?
Got a short one. Dave went for a walk the other day. This is a walk update.
Walk update.
Okay, thank you for telling me there was an update, because I was like, you do go on walks periodically. That's not really a star.
Go on walks all the time. I was going for a walk the other day, Dave, in my sort of neighborhood. And have I ever told you about the weird missing house lot?
It like Scooby-Doo, like the mystery of the... No.
Okay, it does kind of have a Scooby-Doo vibe. There is a lot near where I live where there are houses on the street, and of course every house has a driveway leading up to the house. And there's this one lot leading up to where there ought to be a house, and it's just an empty space between two houses, and there is a driveway that leads up to where there should be a house, and at the end of that driveway there are like 2 trees like planted on either side of the end of that driveway, and like a little like a lamppost that I don't think is plugged into anything. And then there's no house. Like, I know there must have been a house there at some point.
Man, I'm gonna be real. It sounds like you've got yourself a Narnia situation.
Okay. Boy, do I wish I had a Narnia situation.
Listen, No, go ahead. No, I'm just gonna say, like, obviously this is not a like an all the time Narnia. This is like you would have to be there on like, you know, a particular day.
Well, sure.
And
I mean,
like on a, you know, like
you can't get there the same way twice. That's one thing
yeah,
that we
exactly.
know. But yeah, it is like it's an empty lot where there clearly should be a house, and I do feel like when the moon is shining properly, there ought to be like a house there. So that's the background.
Oh,
for
so
this.
okay, got it. Maybe the house is there all the time, and you can just only. That would also be very good.
Sure, you
might
can only
also
enter it on
Matt,
certain days.
Yeah, you might also be in like a Mage Sanctum Fairy Circle situation. Anything is possible, really. You've set up a real doozy here.
If you think that I haven't gone through the full ringer of like thoughts as to what this lot could be, because the thing is, the lot is not for sale. Like usually when I pass by something like that, if there's an empty lot, there's also a sign that says like, "Hey, would you like to build a house here? Go right ahead."
Like you could do that. You could start tomorrow.
Give me $500,000 and you can start building a house here. It's a fancy neighborhood. It would be an expensive lot.
I love when you just run into weird, like unsurprisingly, right? That this is a thing that I love. But I love when you run into like weird, just like weird quasi mystical stuff like that. You're like, there's probably like a totally reasonable explanation for this. But maybe there isn't. And that would be super exciting. The weird thing that I saw at this lot recently, which is why I wanted to tell you about it, is that I was passing by it the other day, and there were 2 volleyball nets that were like crisscrossed into an X shape, but there was no one there playing a game in this weird configuration. That's not okay. That's not... Who does that?
And also, at the same time, I looked across the street, and there were a couple of children who had set up a disc golf, like, you know, the thing with like the chains and the basket underneath. So like you throw the frisbee and it hits the chains, and it sort of gets caught in there and it falls down into the basket. These children had set this thing up, but they were throwing the frisbees vertically underhand towards it. Like an underhand softball pitch, but with a frisbee towards a disc golf thing.
Did you look at them more than once? Had they like changed the second time you look at them? Were they still there?
No.
Were they like there the first time and then not and then back?
I did realize, I looked at them and I thought, they're playing this wrong. Someone should tell them. And then I thought, no one should interact with these children. This is its own thing, and I need to look away and keep walking. And also, the next day when I took a walk down that same street, the crisscrossed volleyball nets were gone. So that was my weird walk week.
Dude, that's okay, Matt. Nobody I know ever ran into as much weird stuff like that as our late buddy Stefan.
That is true.
Dude, Stefan, may he rest in peace. Like, did he ever tell you about his sweater? Did you ever hear about this?
Stefan told me about all sorts of nonsense stuff he ran into.
Okay, no, listen. Like, he just had this... He called me just about the sweater. He's like, Dave, I've got this sweater. I said, oh, okay. And he said, no, man, you don't understand. I'm doing a little bit of a Stefan impersonation here. He's like, no, man, you don't understand. I got this sweater at a thrift shop, right? I was like, okay. And he said, and I've only worn it twice. And each time I've worn it, something weird has happened. Like, a cat followed me from a graveyard for like 2 miles.
Oh, no, he definitely did tell me this story. I remember the graveyard cat.
I was like, what are you... Yeah, like a graveyard cat just followed him for like miles. Now, Stefan had cystic fibrosis, and he ate a lot of canned sardines. So maybe there was something there. But anyways, he's like, I don't know what to do with this sweater, man. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, I don't know if I should wear it again or if I should get rid of it. And I said, listen, Stefan, you can wear that sweater one more time. So like a third time. And then you need to get rid of it.
Sure.
Like, you cannot wear this swetter a 4th time.
Yeah,
that was the only piece of
that.
advice I gave him. Yeah. So, yeah, what a guy. Matt, what is our 4th star of the week?
Our 4th star of the week, Dave, is a little less weird, but it is a thing I did. I went go-karting this last week.
no kidding.
This, by the way, this is for everyone keeping track. This is a hashtag Fun Office sort of event.
Oh, hey Matt, just a second. I have acquired a baby.
Oh,
Hi, sweetheart.
hello, baby.
Say hi. She's waving. Yeah, okay. You can't just wave at a microphone, sweetheart. Yeah. You say hi, Uncle Matt. Nothing? Okay.
Nothing?
Matt,
Okay.
so
No, it's
hashtag
fine.
Fun Office.
I
What's going
understand.
on?
I just shaved my beard so she can't
There
hear
she
me
is.
properly.
Hi. Can you give kisses? Yeah, she kissed the microphone, Matt.
Okay.
Anyways.
Well, thank you. Hey, girl. I will see you later. Where was I, Dave? Go-karting. I went
Go-karting.
go-karting.
Hashtag Fun Office.
Yes, I went go-karting, and it was not just go-karting, Dave. It was pro-karting.
Is there are you just better at it now? Is there more
No,
expensive?
Dave, pro-karting just means it's way faster, and you feel kind of in danger the entire time.
I've actually never been go-karting, if you can believe that.
I mean, did you never go to, like, swings and things when you were a kid?
No, I did. I just never did. I don't know. I just never did go-karts.
Oh, go-karts are rad.
No, they always looked rad. I don't know. I would do go-karts, and then I got a driver's license, and I was like, well, this is kind of... And then I just sort of never did it.
Well, the thing, Dave, is that when you do go-karts, you can be like, okay, I played a lot of Mario Kart, and I really hoped that me playing Mario Kart was going to translate into some sort of, like, latent go-karting skill. It did not. I understood the concept of drifting, but, like, the problem is when you're actually drifting and not Mario Kart drifting, you don't get, like, a cool boost at the end of the drift. You just kind of skid.
Yeah, no, I'm glad to hear you say that, because that's a good reminder, because I often feel that way. Like, oh, I've done this blank thing, like, a bunch of times, but not really. Like, I've done it in a video game, or better yet, I've watched a lot of other people do it.
Yeah, it's the same way that, you know how you've, like, I've never been in a fight, but I feel like I could probably fight two people at the same time and win. Like,
yeah, which is madness.
Just because I've watched a lot of movies, I'm like, I understand the mechanics of this. That was go-karting. Go-karting was very fun, but I learned no more about go-karting through, like, actual Mario Kart than I did about, like, plumbing from playing Super Mario Brothers.
Well, again, that's
fun.
I think that's a good life reminder for the rest of us, Matt.
Anyway, Dave, we've probably been going for a while. What is our 5th star of the week?
So, fifth star of the week, I'll actually make this kind of quick. I am working, Matt, on a secret side project.
A secret side Sentai project?
It is actually, yes, it is Sentai related. And as a sort of precursor to this side project, I have been constructing a spreadsheet. I like spreadsheets.
Sure.
Not as much as people who like do spreadsheets professionally, but for an English teacher, I like spreadsheets a lot.
So what is on the spreadsheet, Dave?
So basically, I thought that I would go through every single season of Super Sentai and just kind of get all of like the core information. And so, like, for example, there are semi-officially. So, okay, first of all, there is like a card game or something, like a Super Sentai CCG or something like that.
Oh, really?
In Japan, yeah. And so there are 4 categories of Sentai, and they are Wild Beast, Mystic Arms, Earth Tech, and Alien Tech. And basically, like, every Sentai show falls into one of those 4 categories.
Okay, I mean, that makes a lot of sense to me. At some point, Dave, I was working on a very similar thing with no real end to the project. Like, there was not an idea. I just wanted to, like, figure this stuff out and categorize it. Mm-hmm. And so I had worked out a, what? It was like, it was some sort of, like, thought map where I was breaking this all down. And yeah, everything was either... Like, it was either science and technology or magic. Science broke down into ancient, alien, future, or advanced modern. And
okay.
And then magic was broken down into either a new magic that was created for the show or some sort of, like, cultural or mythological magic from like history.
Right. So this is the thing that I'm really kind of noticing, like, as I'm going through, because I'm just kind of grabbing like the core data about the Rangers and about the series itself. And it's really interesting. And then I'll stop talking about it. What's really interesting is that as you are, so basically what's happening is that I'm not watching every season, obviously, but I am like observing the development of Super Sentai in like super time lapse, like fast motion. And you can see like right at the beginning, they're just kind of throwing stuff up at a wall to see what sticks.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So the first series is Ohranger, and it's about spies. And then the second one is JAKQ Dengekitai.
No, it's Jakku.
Jakku Dengekitai. And that's about like playing cards. And then Battle Fever J is like dance-powered nationalists. Not like weird nationalists.
No,
but
but
all
the
Rangers
different
are like
the different
national.
people in Battle Fever J were all from different countries. Battle Fever J was a co-production of Toei and Marvel Comics. That was the first thing they did before they did Japanese Spider-Man.
Right, and then like Goggle V, which is the 6th series, their whole thing was like ancient civilizations, gems, and rhythmic gymnastics.
Hey, man. Sure.
And so like it's wild because like you can see they're like, what about this? What about this? What about this? And then so by like series 9, which is Changeman, it was animals, like legendary animals. And then they get like aliens, and then martial arts, and then they did animals again. They're like, oh, okay, people dig animals. And then it's martial arts again, and then animals, and then like ancient beasts, and then martial arts. And so like you can see by like 10, 12 years into this, they had kind of baked it down a little bit more into a more formula. And then you see the same things with the Rangers. Like Red is always the leader Ranger, like obviously.
Yeah.
But Blue kind of jumps around a lot more, like at the beginning of the series, and then by like season 8, 9, 10, the Blue Ranger has become a little bit more codified. And that sort of is true of the rest of the Rangers. It's just a cool, interesting, it's neat to observe. So anyways, more updates about that secret sign project as events warrant.
Sorry, I can just
hear her in the
background.
background?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
That's okay. There are babies in my house. Come here, sweetheart.
Anyway, we are going to take a break. We are going to watch episode 30. Man, I am very distracted right now. 33 of Chouriki Sentai Ohranger, and we will be right back. Okay, welcome back. So we have just finished watching episode 33 of Chouriki Sentai Ohranger. Dave,
that's not true.
That was a fun 20 minutes, right?
It was. Well, it was a fun like 20 minutes followed by like a day and a half. Sorry, we're late, guys. I thought we would get in under the wire, but remember that first star? Yeah, that one hit in force, and we were not able to finish recording because my babies were up till midnight. But we're doing it now.
Okay, and boy, Dave, am I glad that we are doing it now, because remember how last week we were kind of down on the show?
Yeah, I mean, listen, deservedly so. That episode was again, as an episode of television, it was good. It was just a horrifying monster, and I hate him.
Yes, but this week turns that stuff around.
Yeah, it's a very, very good episode. So we start in a volcano, which is just a great place to start. And listen, Matt, I don't know. I'm surely not the only person who feels this way, because Beth and I have spoken about it. I feel like it's a great injustice that you cannot eat magma. I feel like lava looks like...
listen, you can.
You could, like, once. I just think it looks like candy a little bit.
I mean, it does look... I had a very similar experience and I think we actually talked about this when I did that glass blowing workshop.
Yes, glass also looks like candy, and you should be able to eat it, but you would die. And that's not fair. I want to eat that delicious forbidden nature candy. But it starts in a volcano.
Yeah. Oh, Dave, can I say something before we start?
about volcanoes? Or
No,
just
not about volcanoes.
in
About this
general?
episode.
I guess, yeah. That's
Okay.
literally the thing. That's what we do.
Okay, well,
So, yes, you can do
I'm not
that.
talking about what's happening in the volcano. I'm talking about the creation of the episode.
Okay.
I
This
want
is meta
to.
information.
I want to, as we do this, start to actually say who wrote the individual episodes, because that information is all like on Ranger Wiki, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like if I got an idea, if I could like get in my head who these different writers
okay.
are, I would, because every time it's come up in the past that we know who wrote it, like I can sort of like build a mental profile of that person and get some sort of an expectation. And I think it would be interesting to do. I keep meaning to do it, and then I keep forgetting. So I'm saying it now to sort of like make myself do it. This episode is written by Hirohisa Soda.
Okay.
who
that person is great.
He is a longtime tokusatsu writer. Apparently,
Cool.
he started with Go Ranger and ended with Car Ranger.
Wow.
And
That's
so,
long time. Not kidding, long time. That is an extensive career.
Yeah.
Also, this is a great time to trot out my one fun fact about volcanoes. I only know one fun thing about volcanoes. Here it is. So volcanoes, of course, are named for the Roman god of the forge and fire, Vulcan, right?
Sure.
And they are called volcanoes basically everywhere except Greece,
Where they're called Hephaestos.
Hephaestoi. Yeah, they're called Hephaestoi.
That's very good.
And I remember finding that out, and I really liked it, and so I tell everybody. So here's the deal: they're in this volcano. By they, I mean Paranoia.
Yes.
They are in this volcano. Bacchus Wrath is there. And who's there with him? Like Hysteria is there, and Bulldown is there.
Yeah.
And Aksha and Kocha.
And it's what you're about to say is led into by a very cool shot, because we see Bacchus Wrath, and then next to Bacchus Wrath, we sort of see, like he's standing next to a wall, and we're seeing this procession of shadows across this wall. And then the camera
there
pulls
is some-
back, and we see who is casting those shadows.
And it's a bunch of monsters that the Rangers have already defeated.
Yeah,
so
it's
there's
mostly
like Barra Drill, Barra Saucer, Barra Vanish, Barra Ivy, who I remember really liking.
Barra Dart.
Barra Dart. Like all of these monsters that the Rangers already beat, they have been, I don't know, salvaged? But like they're there.
Yeah, they have been
and
reconstructed.
Yeah.
What I do like is that these are mostly, it's kind of like the first 4 or 5 monsters, except
it's nobody super recent.
Except in the group of those first, like, because I think there's about 8 monsters that get shown throughout the course of this episode. 5 of them are mostly focused on, but one who is not there is Barracactus.
Yes, I really dig that they didn't bring him back, because it makes a ton of sense. Because of course they wouldn't bring him back. Oh man, Barracactus, what a guy!
Like I wish they would, because Barracactus ruled, but like Bacchus Wrath doesn't want Barracactus. He destroyed him and his brother for the great crime of them having the capacity for love.
Oh my gosh, Bacchus Wrath, you're such a good villain. So Bulldont says, what is, like, what's going on? Why are we here? Also, so obviously they set that up for the thing, like, because we're watching the show, but I really like the fiction that Bacchus Wrath has set all this up. He has dragged them down here and refused to tell them why, like, until this moment. Like, they're just sitting around in this volcano. Bacchus Wrath is stoked. He's got an amazing plan. And only now is he willing to reveal to them what the deal is.
Yeah,
and what the deal is.
Bulldon's looking at these guys like, these are the ones that they already beat. Why are you bothering?
Like, why are we here? And so what he says is, listen, I have rebuilt them using magma power.
Yes.
He does not explain what that means, except that they take a shower in magma.
Shower.
He's constructed a magma shower, and somehow putting them into this magma shower will turn them into super machine beasts.
Okay, Dave, I do have a headcanon for this.
Please share it with me, because it makes, like, if any, I think what it would actually turn them into is melted machine beasts.
Okay, here's the thing, though. I think that what he is doing is that he has gone into, like, the earth and is squeezing, like, bootleg, moonshined Chouriki energy out of the magma.
Ah, okay. All right,
Chouriki
you know what?
is
As
the
soon
power
as you
of the
started to
earth.
say it, I put
Yeah.
it together. No, I do dig that. All right, that makes sense to me. I like it. He does talk about himself, Bacchus Wrath. He's like, I'm sick of this. I'm tired of losing. I don't know what the word defeat means, which is ridiculous because he's using it in a sentence correctly. So you obviously do know what it means. And he does refer to himself as omnipotent. He's
And
like, my
omniscient.
omnipotent power and omniscient. My omnipotent power will not be denied, which I don't think you know what those words mean, Bacchus Wrath.
I mean, I think in the first episode, he does say, like, I will kill all of these humans because I am like unto a god.
Oh yeah, that is really weird. Okay, so anyways, but he clearly doesn't know what it means because if you're omnipotent, they would already be dead. Anyways,
He also says that he's using all of his omnipotent power on this, and that's just bad
that's just
understanding.
bad grammar. That's not a thing you can do.
It's a bad understanding
okay.
of either the word omnipotent or the word all.
So like they go through this magma shower and Bacchus Wrath sends them out to just like attack. Like there doesn't seem to be like a real intense plan other than go into the world and just crush a bunch of buildings.
Well, now, Dave,
something I do dig.
You say there's not a great plan. He does say that this is both his final and his greatest plan.
Well, I mean, sending out giant robots with bootleg Chouriki is a good plan, but
Yeah.
like, there's not like like a lot of the times there's more nuance to it. Let's say that.
Yeah. Although what I do like about this is that he doesn't just say it's his greatest plan. He says, this is my final plan. Like, we're on episode 33, but Bacchus Wrath thinks that there are only 33 episodes in Ohranger. Like, he is acting as though this is the last thing he's going to do. And he says, like, my pride will not allow any more failures. Like, this is it. I'm putting it all on the line for this one thing.
You know what would be super great is if this was his final plan and then we just switched villains mid-season. Like we came back and it was just somebody completely different starting in episode 34.
Dude, I have not watched ahead, but do you know what the name of next week's episode is?
No, I don't.
The name of next week's episode, and like I said, I have not watched it yet, but episode 34 is called The Emperor's Final Challenge.
Here's hoping.
So,
that would be really funny.
yeah.
That'd be pretty wild.
This is going to be a weird couple of weeks, guys.
So he sends them out, and something I dig is that they're already giant. Like, they've already been gigantified or whatever by Acha and Kocha, and so he just recovered their gigantic bodies, which I think probably was a feat. But he just recovers their gigantic bodies, and they're just already big. So he's like, yeah, knock yourself out, man. Go crazy.
I think that they were small in the volcano, and then Acha and Kocha had to grow them before they left, because some of these are monsters that never got big. Like, Baradrill is out there, and this is the first time we've ever seen Baradrill big.
Oh, good. Oh, gosh, good point.
And actually, it's the first time we've ever seen Baradrill fly. Like, he's flying around as though he is a weird spaceship.
Yeah, it looks really cool. Well, that is weird because I feel like from the shooting they were meant to already be large. I don't know. I honestly would believe that they just kind of forgot that they weren't already giant monsters and just rolled with it. So anyways, Baradrill's already powered up. Like he's flying around like face down, like his drill is fading down toward the ground, and he dives into the bay. I'm not really sure what he's supposed to do there, but he dives into the bay.
Well, he crashes into a bunch of buildings on the way. Like, the drill sort of sticks out of his chest if you've forgotten how he is sort of oriented. So he's just flying around with that drill facing straight down and just ramming it into buildings. And then I think the idea is that he is attacking a bridge.
But he doesn't get to the bridge. He just like dives down under the water and like, I don't know. I thought maybe he was supposed to be like drilling into the core of the earth to destroy. I don't know. Because they never explain. Like, they never say. Like, we just have a silent shot of Baradrill doing the stuff, and then he dives into the water, and then we don't see him till later on in the episode.
But what I do like about this, and actually I like a lot of the way that this episode is presented, it is getting on towards night, and Baradrill is drifting kind of slowly through the city, and there's a lot of like smoke around him, and he's not saying anything, and his eyes are glowing, and it's this really sort of spooky, like in the Terminator movies, when they're in like the dark machine future, it kind of has that feel.
Yeah, no, that's a really good That's a good pull, man. That is very much what it feels like. It's a super cool thing. And then what we see is that Bacchus Wrath is like a giant projection, and he addresses the Earth, and he's just like, so you know, this is it. My robots are super powered. We're not going to lose. Like, welcome to the end, pathetic Earthlings. I, Bacchus Wrath, will destroy you. He shouldn't have tipped his hand like that, because he tells them exactly like what the deal is. He's like, I've got giant robots. They're super magma powered. It's on. Game over for you guys. Which, like, obviously, he shouldn't have told anybody that. And then we get some shots of. It's weird because we're getting like top-down shots of what is supposed to be. I eventually figured out like the wreckage of a hospital.
Yes,
I'm pretty sure is what's going, because there's like doctors and people running around, and I think it's like Barra Drill has already destroyed this hospital, but like where else are you going to go? And so they're just trying to do their best and take care of people in with like the wreckage of this hospital.
But it is it is very cool because there's a lot of like the roof is off of this building and there's a lot of half destroyed walls, but so the camera is kind of above the set a little bit. It's sort of moving around. It really does a good job of conveying the idea that like the city is in ruins.
Yeah, it's very, very cool. Like this whole episode, I feel like this is a very good episode. Like the shots are very cool. There's a lot of like really neat atmospheric work. We're actually going to get to some of that in a minute. But first, what we see is the Rangers in their base, and they are tracking all of these monsters. And they found some of them, like, we're going to go, like, we got to go. Like, we got to get in a robo or whatever, and, like, we have to go fight these monsters. As they are running out, Chief comes in. He says, listen, stop. They, of course, are very confused, and he says, listen, we can't be hasty about this. If we just go and fight the monsters, then all that's going to happen is that Bacchus Wrath will, like, either revive them or he will turn more beasts into super machine beasts. Like we have to be strategic about this. I really dig this because I feel like a lot of the time the chief character, you know, like their mentor figure, is just there to kind of like move the plot along, right? Like they're there to introduce new elements.
Yeah.
But I really dig it anytime we see like, no, like the chief is in charge and he's in charge for a reason, because like he gets it and he is considering things on a level that is, he's kind of like on a commander level. Whereas, you know, like the Red is a field commander, but the chief is like a general. He is, you know, like he's kind of observing this whole situation. And I just really dig it. I like the chief a lot.
Yeah, I do love that. That was one of the things I missed in through a lot of Kaku Ranger, is that we just didn't have anybody like that.
Yeah, he's just sort of... so what he says, he's like, listen, we have got to figure out, like, we got to figure out what they're doing, and how we're going to do it is we're going to Trojan horse them. Like, we are going to create a Trojan horse. And
well, first we're going to tell the story of this Trojan horse using a series of like matte paintings that we're going to like put up on screen here.
Yeah, it's just so weird. Now, what they don't talk about. There's a couple of great things about the story of the Trojan horse, and the best thing about it is there was a Trojan. I don't know if you remember this, Matt. There was a Trojan, and he has the famous line. He says, like, "Beware Greeks bearing gifts." And he's like trying to convince the rest of the Trojans. He's like, do not bring this horse into our city. Like, I don't know what's going on with it, but Greeks are very tricky. And like, you cannot trust this gift. Like, this is going to be a problem. And they don't listen to him because Poseidon sends 2 sea serpents to eat that dude.
And his sons. Don't forget that he eats his sons.
Yeah. And the reason that he does that is not that because Poseidon like has some great love of Troy, is because that dude like had sex with his wife in the temple of Poseidon, and Poseidon was like personally offended, and so he chose that particular moment to have him eaten by sea serpents. And then that's why then the Trojans were like, the gods must be angry with him, which they were, but for like a completely separate reason. So they do bring the horse in, and of course you probably know the story from there. Anyways,
Dave, that is I think it's the Lycuan priest.
There is that sounds right. There's a super famous statue of it.
Yeah, there's a famous statue. It's in the Vatican. It's a dude getting like destroyed by serpents, like him and his 2 sons.
Yeah, it's great. It's a very good statue. So anyways, So the next thing we see is we see this open air hospital again, and we see these Bara soldiers sort of like creeping through. And I, for one, was totally convinced that these were Rangers dressed as Bara soldiers. Like, I thought that was kind of where they were going with this Trojan horse thing. I was wrong. That is not the case.
Oh, me too.
But,
in my notes, I have, I'm like, oh, it's nighttime and the Rangers are like skulking around, and I had to go back and scribble out Rangers and write in Bara soldiers. Because normally, like, you know, the Bara soldiers don't move stealthily. They move weirdly.
Yeah, and it's wild because they do keep moving weirdly, but they are also kind of stealthy, and it's very creepy. It actually reminds me a lot. Now, we mentioned this like very early on in the season, but they kind of brought it back around that they really remind me of like Cybermen, like Doctor Who Cybermen.
Yeah,
that they are these like weird robots, but they're also very creepy, and they do a lot of stuff with like they're skulking through the shadows, or we're seeing like shadows on the wall, and they're moving silently, and then they kind of jump out it's a little bit of a jump scare on these doctors and their patients. And they're just like, now what is weird is that this is really why I thought they were Rangers, because they're hesitant. Like, they don't just show up and shoot the doctors. Like, they're menacing them with their guns. And I really thought that what it was going to be is that the Rangers, they were going to like pull out their helmets and be like, hey, don't worry, it's us. What instead happens is that Ohranger just like flying kicks that Bara soldier in the head, which is way better. So they're fighting the Rangers. Then all the Rangers show up and they're fighting the Bara soldiers.
Very cool fight, because it's still shot in that sort of like weird ruins thing, and so they're sort of like ducking in and around these broken walls and jumping over stuff. It's rad.
Yeah, and this is... Okay, so they start talking. Oh, Red, he's like, hey, like, have faith. Like, there will be a gift from God.
Oh, Dave, it's... Because I wrote this down. When dawn comes, peace will return. And God has a wonderful present for all of those who love peace.
Yeah. And I'm like, why are they? Because like they have never referenced anything sort of like spiritual before. And I'm like, why are they talking about? Like, why are they like? What are they talking about? Like, this is really wild.
Yeah, like I thought they were just kind of being generally encouraging, and maybe it was a translation error. Like, no, don't worry, we're going to win this fight. He's like, no. God will give us a present at dawn. Hey, anyone who happens to be listening, when the sun comes up at that moment, wherever I am, me, Goro, the Red Ranger, God will appear to give me a gift. Boy, okay, I hope nobody takes it.
This is something that, so this is something that I really dig. And I'm like, why are they kind of phrasing it in this way? This is very strange. And they give us a little explanation, like in an oblique kind of way. This is fantastic. Because then we see, so like obviously the Bara soldiers are hearing this and they like report it back to Bacchus Wrath.
Yeah, Coach is there, actually.
Oh yeah, thank you. And they report it back, and he's like, I don't know what they're talking about. Like, their God is going to help them. It doesn't make any sense to me. And I really dig this. So I think the idea is that the Rangers are specifically talking about this in like terms of like faith and the spiritual realm or whatever, because they know it won't make any sense to Bacchus Wrath and the rest of Baranoia.
They're like, well, their hardwired machine minds don't have any room for this sort of thing. And man, they don't know. Like, we get superpowers from the Earth. Maybe we can convince them that this is real.
Yeah, so I just, like, it was a very cool little piece of storytelling. And, like, I was really impressed. I thought that was a very, very cool thing to throw in there. So then the dawn is coming, and it is time for them to... Well, that dawn has always been the hope of man.
Sure. This stuff is darkest right before it, is what I hear. In a metaphorical sense, not in like a astronomical sense.
That's actually not true. So anyways.
So they go to find their great gift from God. And Dave, do you want to explain this?
Yeah, sure. It's like, imagine Stonehenge.
Uh-huh.
But if the henge was just big old shapes.
Yeah, stone shape.
just big old stone shapes, but not, let me be very clear, not shapes carved out of stone. Like, big glass, like, big technologically, like, created shapes, but then just sort of, like, covered in stone.
Yeah, embedded in stone. So
embedded in stone. Yeah.
Like they are color coordinated too. Like you look at them, it's like, oh, that's a red star and that's a blue triangle and a green square. That's, you know, a pink circle and a yellow sort of two ovals right next to each other. Pretty familiar stuff by now.
Yeah. And so I just, like, first of all, they had these things ready to go. And I do, like, so later they do reference, like, thank goodness the chief had been building these for a long time. And I really, Ohranger is actually particularly good. And I know I keep mentioning it, but they have been very good about giving us those, like, 3 seconds worth of explanation that smooths over things that in other seasons just, like, they would not have bothered to reference. And like, it's every bit as good as I want it to be. Like, it's satisfying every time. They're like, yes, thank you for that, like, one line as to why they had these giant robots ready. The chief had been, like, preparing for this eventuality, and they had already been being built, and now they're ready. Thank goodness.
Now,
Love it.
Sadly, what they do not explain is how suddenly the Ohrangers all have the super ability to burrow.
Oh, yeah, that was a little... That one kind of came out of the blue.
Okay, so what happens is...
Because they don't even, like, they don't get into a vehicle... Goro just sort of, and then the rest of them do, I assume. He just sort of like he goes, it's like a cartoon. He's standing on the ground and he just sort of hops up and then swan dives into the ground and then he burrows.
Yeah. It's a very, very Bugs Bunny moment. So what happens is they all arrive where these big, at Shapehenge. The sun is coming up and the Baranoia Empire arrives and is like, we don't know what these are, but we're going to take them. Which they do. As this is happening... as we mentioned a moment ago, all of the Rangers dive into the earth and burrow with super speed to get to, like, the under part of these rocks, and presumably there is a hatch down there that they could get into, unless they just burrow straight into it, which I don't know. At this point, is totally possible.
They burrow, like, right as they get blasted. So I think the idea is that they have convinced the Baranoia that they got exploded, when in actuality... they burrowed away, and then they're in their robots now. So they take the Baranoia, they take the robots, and they bring them down to the volcano, like where they are. Great idea.
Yeah.
For them, I guess. I don't know.
They gotta get them out of the hands of the humans. This is God's gift that's gonna save them.
And then they're just like, this is dumb. They're just rocks, which, like, they're clearly not rocks, guys. They're like giant, shapy, color-coordinated rocks. Like, if they were just giant boulders, that would be one thing. But they're like, let's destroy them. So they blast the rocks. Now, what they don't explain, however, because they did say, like, oh, the chief has been building these robots forever. Or they will say it later. What they do not explain is how they encase them in stone.
Hey, man.
Because that's a whole different thing. So the robots, like, blast them. And with the intent to destroy them. They do not destroy them. All they do is they blast the stone off, and they turn into giant robots.
Now, these giant robots are kind of great and kind of hilarious.
Yeah, that's a very good way to say it. So they're just like, they're humanoid robots.
And they're like their torsos are just the shape that we had previously mentioned.
So, like, some of them work pretty well.
The red one looks awesome.
The red one looks, well, okay. It looks kind of awesome. Its head is also like a big pointy thing, which is a little silly looking.
Well, the head is the top point of the star.
Yeah, no, I get it, Matt. It looks a little bit silly.
Well,
I think Yuji comes off best here. Yuji is the person who, because his is like an upside down triangle, and so his robot just looks like super yoked.
Yeah.
I feel like Momo is the worst off because her symbol is like a big old circle, and so her robot is just like a round fun boy. Yeah,
or a fun lady. But when these robots get into action, I really like it. Like, these things... So the idea is that all of these things are about the size of Ohranger Robo, and the chief had for some time been considering the fact that in the same way that... Goro has Red Puncher, like, everyone should kind of have their own humanoid fighting robot. So he's been building like a suite of them.
Yes. Oh, Matt, I don't know if I mentioned this to you. I did discover, I don't know exactly what the translation is, but as I was doing my chart my spreadsheet, as I mentioned earlier, I noticed that a lot of the Pink Rangers have the word Momo like in their name.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and so I think if anybody like knows the Japanese, because I tried it in Google Translate, which is about as good as I get, and it didn't come up with anything satisfactory. But my assumption is that Momo, like the word Momo, must have a connection to the color pink somehow, because like a lot of characters have Momo in their name.
Oh, I wonder if that's
Momo
the case.
is just Momo. It's gotta be like it can't be a coincidence. It's so frequent.
The first couple of years, the Pink Ranger was always named something like Karen. Like it was very strange.
Yeah. Well, they do actually, anyways, we don't need to get into that. So yeah, but they do a lot of really good fighting. Like this is, I think, probably the best giant robot scene we've gotten in this entire series.
Yeah, well, because they all get a chance to shine.
Yeah. It is so this is great. So they fight a little bit in the volcano and then they all burst out. And then the Rangers all line up with their robots and they're like red blocker, green blocker. I thought they were going to be like red something, but they're all just blocker, like color blocker. They all line up, and then the monsters all line up, and they face off for a second, and then the Rangers just all pull out mecha-sized energy cannons and just shoot them.
Yeah, I mean, this starts a fight. That's not the whole thing. Oh, I do also
yeah.
When they're getting announced individually, there's like a chyron that comes up on the screen, and it says it in English and then in Japanese, like, this is green blocker. It's very fun.
Yeah, it was just a great moment, very sort of like Indiana Jones versus the swordsman, like they're all gearing up and then they just shoot him. So the two elements of the fight that I thought were really cool are Red Blocker versus Bara Missler, and it becomes a dogfight, like they're flying and fighting, and they eventually make it up into space.
Yeah.
And all sorts of crazy stuff is happening there. And then Green
Shohei.
Blocker... Yeah, and then Green Blocker and versus Bara Drill, they're underwater, and how they did that was very cool. They had like a color mask lens or something, and then they were shooting it through like an aquarium or something, because you're seeing like bubbles come up, and they just sort of have everyone moving in kind of slow motion, and it really it's a good piece of practical effects work. It really sells the idea that they are underwater. It was just a really cool fight.
Yeah, if you don't usually watch this show, you should like hop on Shout Factory TV's website and check this one out just to see like the cool camera stuff they're doing.
Yeah, you can watch the whole episode. You really, if you want to catch this part, obviously just jump to the end. But the whole episode is worth watching. So then we see, they're fighting underwater. We just shoot back to Red Blocker and Bara Missler again. Now they're in space. And we don't see this from anybody else, but we do find out that Red Blocker has a giant Star Riser.
Yeah, he just pulls out this like crazy giant sword that is identical to the tiny cool sword. And the reason he does that is because Bara Missler shoots like 100 missiles at him, and so he pulls out Star Riser, and it's just like flying towards Bara Missler while using this sword to knock all of the missiles out of the way, and then he really gets to him, he stabs him with the sword. I like Ohranger.
Yeah, this is a very, very good show. But that's basically it. Like I think once we see Red Blocker defeat Bara Missler, it's sort of assumed that like the rest of the Rangers have also been successful, because we don't get a finishing shot to their fight. Because the next thing we see is they're just back in the base.
Yeah.
Like the Rangers are back in the base, and they say, "That was great. We'll keep working together in the future." And the chief says, "Good," which is a weird lie to me, because it indicates that was somehow maybe like in doubt. Like, was the team about to break up and now you're good again?
No, Dave, we do get a stinger on the end of this episode.
Oh, yeah, this is great.
Because earlier, when they were all flying out of the base, like, they kind of collapsed the volcano because they flew through the ceiling. And so Bacchus Wrath didn't get, like, buried in the rubble, but I think we're meant to assume that he got, like, trapped down there.
Yeah, somehow.
And he is just shouting death threats like, "You've not seen the last of me. Like, I shall return to destroy you." And I think that is leading into next week's. I mean, obviously, it's leading into next week's episode. That's the episode that comes next. But like, that is sort of a cliffhanger. Like, I don't know if the O'Rangers know that it's a cliffhanger, but Bacchus Wrath knows that it's a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
He just found out that this show is going to at least episode 34.
Yeah, so then that really is that's it for this episode. And we don't have anyone to put on the Creature Royale this week.
Oh, yeah, I guess we don't, because there was just all of the... I mean, I guess we can't rate, like, the concept of super machine beasts.
Oh, right. Yeah, no, I heard in your voice that you were about to be like, but it's not the end of our episode, but it kind of is. We don't have any new monsters this week.
Yeah. I don't know. You want to talk about anything else? We kind of talked about how much we liked this episode already.
I would say it's a very, very good episode, but...
so I have anything in my notes that I missed.
I say about it.
Blue kills saucer in the air and it rules. That was one of my notes that I forgot to mention.
That was very good.
Yeah. He was like wrapped up in tentacles. It was very cool. No, I think that's it. Yeah. Anyway, this show rules. Check it out. And that is going to do it for another episode of For Your Eyes, Ohranger. Before we finish up here, I would like to remind you all that you can email the show at supersentaibrothers@gmail.com. You want to get any updates on future episodes or check out the things that we're talking about on Twitter, we are at Super Sentai Bros. If you like the show, please remember that shining in the iTunes review section, there are 5 stars. Rate, review, subscribe on Apple Podcasts. That's what's going to help people find the show, or wherever it is that you find the show. We're
on Google now.
We're on that Google Podcast thing. Speaking of other places you can find the show, retrogradeorbitradio.com. We are a production of Retrograde Orbit Radio, and that's where you can find us and all of the other great Retrograde Orbit Radio shows. Once again, we are the Super Sentai Brothers. I'm Matt.
I'm Dave.
And we'll see you next week for the greatest show on Earth. The other thing I was going to say is that this episode, when it was Zeo, was the Golden Homecoming, when Jason was revealed as the Gold Ranger. Mark, you can cut that out. I just remembered it and I wanted to say it.
Nah, you should leave it in. All right.
Bye, everybody.
I gotta go. Bye.